believe we can all agree that boxing remains the toughest sport, but for women, the punches hit even harder. So today we decided to switch it up a little bit on Women in Sport Africa and shine the light on the plight of female boxers. I've got three incredible guests, three incredible women in their own right. Terry-Anne Hart, she's a promoter. The Ferocious, the name I prefer, but she calls herself Bernice the Badger Ferreira, as well as Ellen Simwaka, the Tigress. We are talking about and unpacking boxing and its state for women. Delighted to have, this is my first panel actually, because I always have one guest. So for once, it's actually nice to have three incredible ladies in their own rights. And I'm going to start with Bernice the Badger Ferreira, Ellen Tigress Simwaka, and of course Terry-Anne Hart. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me. So we are just about to have a conversation about the current state of boxing. And Ellen, you allow us to have it from a continental perspective because you're from Malawi. So I'll start with you. How would you paint how boxing looks for females currently on the continent?
I see a lot of, thank you so much, for having us in the house.
Yeah.
I really appreciate. I see a lot of changes, it's like a dream, like it's quite, like it's a blessing.
Yeah. Because
it's been a long time ever since, female boxing have been, fighting. And I can see a lot of changes ever since the Fighters Boxing Club came in. It's, it's quite a lot of things have changed. Like a lot of women have been, fighting, being action,
yeah.
Which we were missing in us, like.
So paint to us, for us, Ellen, what by missing, for the person that doesn't necessarily know, they always hear that we're always complaining about the level of fights for women in boxing, that is not enough. What does the picture look like? What did it look like before promoters like Terry-Anne came to the fore? It was. We were fighting, but not like the way I've seen things being right now. Yeah.
Since Fighters Boxing Club came in, it's a different thing, like comparing in the back then and now. It's quite different.
It's a lot of difference.
Yeah, it's a lot of difference.
Bernice, I'm going to bring you in. Take me through to when you started boxing, when that was, and what got you into the sport.
Thank you for having me, first of all. Thanks to Fighters Club for the opportunity. Thanks to Ellen for being in. I really was boxing my whole life, but I turned professional in 2023. I had my debut fight in 2023. And the very first year was amazing. I had like 5 fights. Obviously trying to build my record and trying to get into the ranks and get my name out there, try to make it, But then the very next year, I only had 2 fights and then only had 1 fight. So it was like it was declining.
Yeah.
And it kind of demotivated me. And then Fighters Club promotions came into play and everything changed. Suddenly I'm fighting for a SA title. And now the very next one I'm on, I'm fighting for a world title.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a different level that Fighters Club Promotions brings in. And I'm just truly grateful. And I mean, I haven't been around for 10 years or however many years. So I don't know what it was like before I made my debut. But from my own experience, Fighters Club made a big splash. And
where would you say was the challenge before that? Because I know you're part of Colin Nathan's gym, and quite a few credible boxers come from that stable. But from a female perspective, where would you say the challenge has been in the past?
Well, I only recently transitioned to No Doubt Management with Colin Nathan. This will be my first fight under the new management. So, but I think the challenge just came in where boxing is a predominantly male sport,
yeah.
right? So most of the promoters are male, most of the matchmakers are male, most of the coaches are male, most of the managers are male. So they just don't see the value in women in the sport. And I think that's where the problem was, because there are many women fighting. So it's not like there's not enough players in the pool, like they would say.
Yeah.
There is players in the pool. They just don't see us. You know?
So that's where the disconnect comes, that it's not that there is no boxing talent, there is.
Yes.
It's just the position where if you are going to be creating a bout, then you know that there are female boxers as well.
Yes, they just overlook us, which they always do, just overlook us. I said before in a previous interview, I feel like the females have to work double as hard as the men do just to get noticed. You know what I mean? Because,
Yeah.
I mean, we're also boxing. They're boxing, we're boxing. We're training the same.
Same
We're
thing.
doing the same hours. We're putting in the same effort, the same amount of energy. We do exactly the same thing to cut weight. There's no difference. But we have to put extra effort into them just noticing, oh, there's a girl that can box. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where there's a guy, they just see the guy because it's a boxing thing.
So apart from the fact that, because one of the challenges is that if you're not fighting enough, you're not able to build a profile for yourself. What other challenges would you say you experience because of the lack of recognition?
Honestly, my biggest challenge was to get fights. Like, ever since I was a kid, I was in the amateurs for most of my life, but I never really got fights because there was no girls in my weight.
Yeah.
And at that time, there wasn't a lot of girls boxing. But things have changed. And right now, there's a lot of girls and a lot of new girls coming into play. So that can't be the problem anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's been the biggest challenge for me, is getting fights. And that's why I decided to turn pro, is so that I can hopefully get more fights.
Ellen, you got your title in 2022, and then you were able to defend it in 2023, a few months later. But you've kept the same belt for some time. Is that due to the fact that you haven't had enough fights to be able to defend your title?
Yeah, when I fought 2022, it was after I came from, inactive. I wasn't fighting for 2 years. I didn't have fights, which, it's quite discouraging, but, we don't have a choice. We have to keep going. And we're still putting in the work, like we are fighting tomorrow, but no fight coming up. And we are spending years, and we are not getting any younger. And I fought Gabisire in 2022 after inactive, and ESPN gave me the opportunity to fight for the IBF with Sharadine Fontaine, which she is a very good boxer. She's also been very struggling with fights. Like I haven't seen her fight ever since, I think. So it's quite, sad seeing women, we are putting in the work, but we don't get recognized the way we're supposed to be. You can see like MVP, and I'm being honest with you, like Fighters Boxing Club, can be the MVP of the African continent.
And after the break, we're going to have a chat to the boss lady of Fighters Club, that is Terry-Anne Hart. It's Women in Sport Africa, and today we're just shining the spotlights on boxing and the plight of female boxers, as you've heard from Ellen and Bernice. We're coming back after the break. Welcome back to Women in Sport Africa, and as I said before the break, today we're shining the spotlights on boxing, particularly for female, and we have a promoter who's also female, Terry-Anne Hart. Terry-Anne, we've heard from Ellen and Bernice about the struggles from a boxer's point of view. Firstly, let's start with you and Fighters Club. What inspired you to start your club?
Look, I've always loved boxing. For me, it was just a journey. I conceptualized it, and I saw the need for females to get a lot of more stage time. I've done boxing myself. I train sometimes with Karel Shabalala, and the sport itself needs to be recognized in this country. We have some of the best fighters, and we have some of the best female fighters. And I agree 100% with Bernice and Ellen. We have a great amount of talent in this country. I think the challenge comes from being back in the day with men, the differences between male and females is the females fluctuate a lot in weight. And that's a concern that needs to be addressed with, Boxing SA. And I believe that is mostly the reasons why they didn't put them on a lot of bouts, because it's so difficult to maintain. But with today's technology and the pills that we can take these days that are safe, there are ways that you can obviously, manage your weight better. I mean, Bernice does it, Ellen does it. They know their routine. They've been in it for a couple of years. So we need to give them credit where credit is due, and we need to give them opportunities.
And I mean, we've been speaking from a boxer's point of view. From your point of view, I don't meet a lot of female promoters as well. And I'm sure for you, it's also not easy in the landscape.
No, I think it's a new territory, and I think that Fighters Club is making a little bit of, eruptions out there. However, we're tough. We can handle the punches, and whatever's going to be pushed against us, we're going to be pushing back. I feel as if the fighters can do it, then I can stand the ground against the little boys club.
Bernice, one of the struggles in general across the board in different sporting codes for females is the fact that the sport is not professionalized for many women in sport. But outside of that, you have athletes that are playing at the highest level, having to work a 9 to 5 as well. What does it look like for you in terms of juggling finances and at the same time being a professional? Because just because you are not fighting every time doesn't mean that you're not a professional boxer.
100%. So in the beginning of my professional career, I still had a 9 to 5. And I was trying to juggle working on a daily basis and then training at the evenings. And it really doesn't work, because you can't give your full focus to two different things. You know what I mean? So one of them is going to lack. So I made the decision, and my mom wasn't very happy, because she was like, no, you have to have an income. How are you going to survive, And I made the decision, I'm going to go with boxing, and whatever happens must happen. If I have to eat crumbs for a year, then I'll eat crumbs for a year, but I'm going to make this boxing thing work, because it's something that's close to my heart, something that I've worked on for my whole life, literally. So I took the risk, and I feel like the risk is paying off. So
and that's the difference, that having a promoter then would come in and actually have bouts and an opportunity for you to make the money.
Yes, definitely, 100%. Having a promoter that backs you as a fighter makes a huge difference, because now you don't have to scratch and fight and plead for fights. Like if there's a tournament coming up, there's a very good chance that you're going to be on that tournament. As long as you keep showing up and you keep putting in the work and you keep showing that you're hungry for whatever they're going to bring, then surely they'll put you on. And it makes a huge difference.
Terry-Anne, in terms of sponsorship, how does it look? How tough is it? And how self-funded are some of these projects that you
Massively.
go into?
Wow. But, at the end of the day, for me, to see the smiles and to see the lifestyles of Bernice and Ellen's careers, and to see them themselves rise up in their stature, it's worth it. There is sponsorships in the sense of that we've got a couple, but it isn't easy. I can tell you now, you go knock 3 times, 10 times, and still they're saying to you, but this is never going to work. You're a female promoter that's promoting females. Where is this going to, how's it going to work? And I looked at them and I said to them, you know what, I have a vision, and I'm going to push, and I'm going to knock down doors, and I'm going to put myself out there, and I'll do whatever I have to do so that I can obviously give these ladies opportunities and get them onto international stages, because they deserve to be there. The industry before was paying females the bare minimum, and sometimes that bare minimum was once a year. Sure. I mean, Ellen has spoken about the last, 2 years? Before that, it was 1 fight a year, and I mean, it's ridiculous what they have to put themselves through for that kind of money.
And Ellen, I imagine that part of it is you having to leave home, which is in Malawi, and spend a bulk of the time away from home in order to search for these opportunities.
Yeah, it's been a tough journey, but by the grace of God, we are here. Back then at home, I used to work as a security officer, which was quite hard for me, to go train. And I saw that, my boxing career is going down. So I said, no, God, please show me a way. I wanna, focus on boxing. And I got a fight in East London. That was my first time coming here in South Africa. That was 2017. So when I came here, and then I saw the opportunities, I fought, and then I was like, no, man, I need to stay back, just to, I think there's opportunities for me to fight here. There's a lot of ladies. Yeah, we are a lot, but there's Smash, there's Sharadine, Bernice. There's a lot of female good, great boxers here.
Monica
Mukandia, but we don't get the opportunities, Even Monica, she was also inactive when she came back to fight on Fighters Boxing Club. So you can see, we really struggle. There's talent here in Africa that if there is promoters like Fighters Boxing Club, females won't be the same. Yeah, so I have to come here and do the boxing, just to survive, do some small businesses to survive so I can keep going with my boxing career. And here we are.
Our guest this morning, the Badger, Tigress, and of course Terry-Anne. I think we're going to need a nickname for you as well.
I think so. Hey?
Yeah. Justin J for vibes. What is it?
Terry-Anne, the boss lady.
The boss lady. It's Women in Sport Africa. When we come back, we wrap up the conversation with the ladies. You're watching Women in Sport Africa. We're here every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. on SABC2. And today is a special show where we're speaking about boxing and how it looks like for female boxers. The Badger. I love your nickname. How do you come up with these? Because they're always special in boxing. You could never pick one that stands out. But the Badger, where does it come from?
It's something that I thought about for a long time. There was a lot of different ideas running, like the Ferocious Ferreira or something like that.
Okay, you see, even that has a nice ring to it.
But Bernice the Badger just stuck. Like you said, it has a nice ring to it. And I feel like I can relate to a badger. If you know anything about the wild, you'll know that the badgers aren't scared of anything. They'll take on the biggest beasts in the kingdom, and they're just going to go and get the honey. It doesn't matter who's in their way. So I definitely feel like I can relate to a badger.
And the Tigress?
Yeah, the name Tigress came when I just beginning of my career, and people were calling me Tiger. So you fight like a tiger. So I was like, wow. But I hated the name, and then as we go, I started loving it. When I had my new manager, Craig Ronso, he said, "You are the Tigress." I was like, wow, I love it.
It's powerful. It's powerful.
So I was like, yeah, I am the Tigress. Yeah.
And for you, Ellen, I mean, as you said, you come in and out of South Africa looking for fighting opportunities. How would you like to see the next couple of years pan out for you as a boxer?
I would like to see, female fighters explode, because there's a lot of female fighters here. And I would love to see, a lot of female fighters becoming world champions. Yeah.
World champions.
World champions.
How far would you say we are here on the continent in terms of the global standard?
We are there. We are there. We just need the opportunity like we have right now in South Africa fighting for IBO world title. We are there. Yeah.
Bernice, you agree?
100%. 100%. I do feel like we can compete on the world stage. We have what it takes. I mean, we've been through the ringer. We've been put through the most resilient situations, and I think that's what makes you as a fighter. So I think if we just get the right opportunities, we can show the world that we are out here.
And then in terms of Boxing South Africa, we recently saw that there was a Boxing South Africa board. There were issues around that. The board was dissolved a number of times. There were court cases. How much of a setback is it when the governing body, the mother body, is also in disarray?
Look, I think, it does play its part. there is a little bit of issues here and there, but for the most, they've been nothing but helpful towards us as at Fighters Club. In fact, they've shown us a couple of doors to open. And I have to say credit to Mantla, the COO, for actually, pushing me into the right direction and allowing me to fulfill my dream. And when you ask Bernice is currently ranked number 7 on the WBC rankings. So we are definitely there. We just need to open up our eyes and give the girls the opportunities and take it to the next level.
And Bernice is the South African champion at the moment. That's your current ranking.
Yes. I won the SA title back in November, also on the maiden show of Fighters Club Promotions, actually. So that was one of my dreams coming true through this promotion, and I can foresee a few of my dreams coming true with this promotion. So I'm just very grateful and very blessed to be a part of this journey.
What is the solution in terms of going forward, Terry-Anne? Is it a matter of linking the men's and female divisions in most of these bouts? Does that make it any easier?
I think it makes it funner.
Okay.
I think it brings a better crowd. I think it brings a set of young men that want to come and see, and females, that want to come and see Bernice and Ellen, do their thing on the stage. It's exciting times. I brought a couple of my close friends and colleagues, and they were like shocked. They didn't know that this exists. And for me, it's always been a thing of equal 50-50, male and female. In the sense of Fighters Club and where we're going, we'd like to obviously escalate. We've done a South African title, we've done basically an Intercontinental in Africa title, and now we're going to go even bigger. So we want to put ourselves on the world stage and focus on a mixed bout, and for us we'll rotate. The next one will be a male headliner. So it's just about how we play it and what the strategy is behind it.
When you're looking at knocking on doors, let's say on Monday there's an opportunity to knock on doors, typically what does that look like? Because I'm thinking of it from a broader perspective. When you think of a female is the consumer, is the head of the household in terms of making the decisions where money is going, and you would think that automatically I'm thinking about female brands. Why aren't they not sponsoring? Where do you go for sponsors, for bouts, for even individual sponsorship to say that Bernice could be dressed by one of the big brands, attach themselves to a big brand? That's one of the ways of sponsorship.
Definitely. I'm waiting for, obviously, feedback from last night's tournament. And then from there, going Monday, I'm going to knock on a couple of people's doors. One of them is Sun International, big time. They need to come to the party. And they've said to us, if we can pull this off on the first one at Battle at the Coast, which was last night, then we can basically speak further into the rest of the year for the tournaments to come. The big let's call it athletic brands, Nike and Adidas, those are the type of things. And let's not forget First for Lady Insurance. It's a typical brand that needs to be associated with us. And I think that, it's our third tournament that took place and people were watching and eyeing and making sure that we could pull it off. Mm-hmm. And we've successfully done 2, and this is our third one under the belt. So I don't think there's any more red tape, if you can put it that way.
And I imagine also, just to wrap up, is that it helps that boxing is also back on the SABC, because that too is a vehicle of seeing more people and getting boxing to the people.
100%. So SABC Sport has come to the party big time. We've basically signed up until next year, March 2027. And there is some interesting things that's going to come out. There's a couple of good, let's call it TV series that's as well in the play with SABC Sports. So for me, it opens up so much more doors because you have that visibility. And we as well have Discover Sport. And Discover Sport gives us the international viewing, and they are so pro for these females and their stories and where they come from. And for us at Fighters Club, it's just a privilege to walk the journey with them and take them further.
Ladies, thank you so much for having us, and I hope that next time when you do come in, we have a different conversation and a bout that will attract a lot of sponsors. There must be no space on the banners because that's how sponsored it is. It's Women in Sport Africa. Thank you so much to Terry-Anne Hart, Ellen Simwaka, as well as Bernice Ferreira, the ferocious, the badger, as well as the tigress. We wrap it there. We'll be back next week, Sunday 9 a.m. on SABC2.